Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today's tag video is why haven't I read these books yet tag, and I was recommended this on YouTube. It seems like YouTube likes to recommend booktube and authortube tags, which I'm not sad about because that's the only way I know about these tags. So I found this tag and the booktuber's name is Raph, so I watched his, and then I watched I think like 2 or 3 other ones, and I was like, I'm totally gonna do this tag because though it's not a lot of questions, I think I will enjoy doing a little rant for a few of these. Number 1 is a classic book you haven't read yet, and that's basically all the classic books. I can say from like Jane Austen to Ray Bradbury to Sylvia Plath, everyone. I'm not a classic book person. I've read the Odyssey, the Iliad, basically all of Shakespeare's work, Brave New World, The Picture of Dorian Gray. Animal Farm was pretty good. Those are the ones that I enjoyed. All the other books that I've read are classics that are, it's either 1 or 2 stars, honestly. I just don't like the writing and how the punctuation is used. It just bothers me, and that could be something where you're like, Nicole, does it really matter? Yes, it matters, because it's really distracting when, okay, I was reading an older copy of Jane Eyre. It's a paperback. I think I have it somewhere around here. So it's like, it's blue and it's kind of clothy, but it's not cloth. It's not a hardcover, but it is a hardcover. It's weird. It's old, it's yellow. I don't know where I found it. So I don't know which edition it is or if it's special or anything like that. But I found it and I was reading it, and I'm not kidding you. She used so many semicolons when it should have been periods. So there was a time where we went through 4 pages. I'm not kidding you, 4 pages without a period. And I can't do it. I don't know if that's the copy that I randomly found at like a thrift shop or something like that, or what. I can't. Now, that could have been just a random occurrence and it doesn't happen, but I've seen other books where the punctuation makes no sense. You don't need 5 commas in a sentence, for example. It's very distracting. And I think also with classic books, they just had more time on their hands. So you can meander and talk about your feelings for 15 freaking pages and get nowhere in the plot. But yeah, the people that are reading during whatever times that you're, talking about, yeah, I mean, they're not doing the hard labor, basically. They're writing for the upper class, minus Shakespeare, because that's a play, but the other books, and I'm thinking like classics, not like 1950s classic, though that's a classic as well. Okay, it's pretty old. I'm thinking like those the French romances from, I forget, the 1300s, 1400s. Yeah, those people. It was mainly focused on women, right? French romances. We're talking about Lancelot and Guinevere and King Arthur. I actually have that book because I took a Arthurian legend class the last semester when I was in college a few years ago. It's a thick book, and we bought it just for the Arthurian legends, that the French romances. Yeah, I had to read basically like the whole book. That was so boring. I'm sorry, but it was so boring. It's just, as I said, lots of meandering, lots of filler. I don't know. I mean, that happens a lot today, but at least it's somewhat straightforward in the flowery language and the purple prose, and the punctuation is not as big. But I mean, you still get it nowadays, but I think more people are not as interested in a lot of just 100% flowery language, and they kind of want you to get to the point. Like, you don't need to have a simile or metaphor or huge paragraphs or maybe a couple of pages, maybe more than a couple of pages, where you're describing one thing, right? I'm just saying. That's not for me. If it's for you, good for you. I can't stand it. That's why I don't really read classics. Number 2 is a fiction book I haven't read. I'm assuming maybe like literary fiction. And this is another thing that I just don't read. If I want to be sad, I'll read like a horror novel. Because at least that's pretty entertaining. Horror novels or like psychological thrillers or something like that. Literary fiction is a bit too depressing for me. I already have depression. I don't need to add to it, okay? And the last literary fiction novel that it was really good, I recommend it, is My Dark Vanessa. And that actually had a point to the story, the problems going on, and the, I don't know, I would say verging on bittersweet ending, because she finally realized that she was abused as a teenager, and that relationship with her teacher was not actually a relationship, okay? Yeah, that's bittersweet, but she has a long way to go, but at least she got there. It took the whole 500-ish page book, but we got there. There are most other literary fiction novels that don't get there at all. And, you know, the person ends up killing themselves or something at the end of the novel. Which I'm like, you know, I don't know about all that. But to each their own. I know a lot of people that love literary fiction. It's the same thing where people are like, why are you so into horror books? Because they're scary. I don't think it's scary. It's really hard to gross me out or scare me when we're talking about a book, so it's the same vibe as literary fiction for the people that love literary fiction. They're like, no, it's just a book. I mean, you know, I keep reading about people killing themselves and having a depressing life and being addicted to drugs, and there's no help or hope whatsoever, but it's fine. So number 3 is, what is a non-fiction book you haven't read yet? And I'm going to say The Cave and the Light, because it is really big with teeny lettering. And the last time I read Plato, Aristotle, Socrates was in college, and that was quite a few years ago. And do I remember everything that was going on in those classes, in the philosophy classes? No. I was taking a lot of classes at once, and though I still have, it's actually just Plato and Socrates. I got rid of my Aristotle because Aristotle bothers me. I can take Plato / Socrates. Can't take Aristotle. So I think this is pretty good because I don't think it involves Aristotle, though I'll read it if it has Aristotle. It's not like a huge deal. I'm not that annoyed with him. I hope that this nonfiction novel is about going over the meaning and all that stuff, or else I'd have to jump onto YouTube and watch some scholarly videos to remember what's going on. I remember The Cave. The Cave is very well known, and I think because we spent, I don't know, 3 weeks on just The Cave, and it was 2 different classes that spent a long time on The Cave, I get it. Okay. The other stuff, don't fully remember everything, that there's like random chunks. I don't know how much I need to remember to read this pretty chunky book, and it's a nonfiction book to boot, so I Might try to read it for nonfiction November, or at least start it, right? Give me some hope. But this is something where I'm looking at it and I'm like, well, my fiance bought it for me for Christmas a while ago. It was a very nice gift. I need to get on it, but there's some hesitation. So number 4 is a genre book that I haven't read yet, and I'm gonna go with the Darkling Queen. Why did I say king? I don't even know. My life is just a little bit much today. I've read his other books. This is the 3rd book. I've had this since like late 2020, and it was published in 2020. I needed to get it together. It's young adult high fantasy. I don't know why I keep forgetting this book. It's one of the bigger books, like tall. Bear with me here. And so I put it in the back of my to be read mini bookshelf, and that's why I'm forgetting. Not because I'm not interested, it's just because it's tall and big compared to the other books, and I just put the other books at the front because they're itty bitty. I need to not do that, obviously, because I keep forgetting this book. And I need to finish the series. He finished the series. He's already on a different book series. I'm just saying. That's my bad. It's not his bad or the book series either. I just am a little forgetful. Number 5, the book owned for the longest time but haven't read yet. It's gonna be The Winter King by Bernard Cornwell. This is actually my fiance's book, and he said that I need to read it because it's a fantastic rendition of Arthurian legend, and he knew that I took a class on the Arthurian legends, like I said previously, and I don't know, so I read about 10 pages 2 years ago, and I was like, I don't really like it. And so I told him that. He's like, give it time and then read it again. I don't know, how many times do I have to start it and then like get not very far in and be like, I don't really like it, and then he's gonna say, no, you need to try it again. I don't know, we're like on the 2nd or 3rd time. It's been quite a moment between my fiance and I over this book, but he thinks if I get past a certain number of pages, then I'll really love it. And maybe that is true, but he's had these books, I don't know, like, when was this published? It's actually this particular book is a little yellow, so it's been a moment. Oh, 1995. Okay. Okay, this was published quite some time ago. I think he's had this particular copy and the other 2 in the book series at least 8 years, 10 years, maybe more. That's why it's a little yellow inside now. But I haven't been keen. I haven't been keen to start it because I read tried to read another Bernard Cornwell book, and the writing, it was not good. And it's one of his earlier books, and I mentioned that to someone who reads a lot of Bernard, not my fiance, but someone else, and she was like, yeah, that book's not the greatest. It was, Turncoat, something coat, about the American Revolutionary War. Yeah, I DNF'd that. It was not good. I just couldn't do it. And so that was my introduction, and the writing. It's not the same as this book, but it's in like a similar vein of it's not vibing with me, you know? Not like it's flowery language. It's just like so drawn out. I don't know how to describe it. But yeah, I'm gonna try again. Try to put in some effort with my fiance, because this is a book that he wants me to read, so we can talk about it, and hopefully I'll read the other 2 books. Though, you know, I would just finish it and say that I don't want to finish the book series just to say that I did it, but I can't read the other 2 for XYZ reasons. I don't know what it's going to turn out to be, that I'm going to love it or I'm going to finish it and hate it and be like, I'm not doing it. And the other two, I have other books that I know I'll really enjoy. But I think that that's how you should live your bookish life. If you don't like something, then you don't read the series, even though your fiance really wants you to. And number 6 is to tag people, but I'm just gonna say, if you want to do this tag, go for it. I'm not gonna pressure you, because, you know, there's too much pressure outside of the world right now, and I'm pretty sure you're pressuring yourself to get a better job, go out and socialize, or pay your bills, or something like that. I don't know. It's been a tough few years, so no pressure. If you want to do this tag, go for it. Thank you so much for watching my newest tag video, all about books I haven't read yet. Have a great reading and writing day. Bye!